First of all, less stress. Studies is less. We say, if you are here, studies will happen.
How do you manage to stay positive in life?
I'm one of those few people who's running life according to his own script. But to be able to catalyze so many more people.
Hello and welcome to the show Skill Tree Education Evangelist of India Season 3. Today we have with us a very special guest who is a devotee of the Mother and Shri Aurobindo. At a very young age, he immersed himself in a world that was centered and revolved around the Mother and Shri Aurobindo. His concern was the continuity of the institution that his parents had created, for which he left his job with no contradiction and took upon his new role. Let us cut the talk and welcome the man himself, Mr. Ranjan Mitter, the principal of the Future Foundation School. How it all started for you?
Well, I guess it started even before I was born, much as you might not believe it. My mom was born into a very orthodox religious Hindu family. In fact, it was in their ancestral house that Vivekananda first met Ramakrishna. So she wasn't sent to school after class 6. And then she, because she insisted, she was a bit of a rebel by nature. She insisted and she did homeschooling, and she passed her matriculation and went on. And so you can imagine the kind of family, and they would go out in a very, in a way that people would not observe, etc., etc. At the age of 17, as a young person, she and her cousin and her uncle, they made a trip to South India. And this trip was a landmark trip. The first time they were going out of the house, parents giving permission, but never mind. And on the way, they encountered somebody on the train. And this was a Bengali couple. And they discussed Pankaj Malik, who was a singer of that time. And this guy told them, you must go to Pondicherry. And they had no clue about what Pondicherry meant or whatever. They knew remotely, vaguely, that Sri Aurobindo had lived in Pondicherry. He was no more. He'd passed away in 1950. We're talking about 1953. And well, they landed up, and through various vagaries, eventually she met the mother. And she didn't want to come back. Strangely enough, that little contact over a couple of days, she felt she'd arrived in heaven, and she just didn't want to come back. Her uncle pleaded with her. She was a happy girl otherwise, happy daughter of her parents. And she said, the first time you're coming out, if you refuse to go home, with what face will I face your parents? So anyhow, so that was sorted out. And she came back crying all the way. She realized that she had found her true home. Anyway, shortly after that, within a year and a half, she got married, obviously to my father. And in 1958, I was born. In 1963, my grandfather died. That means my mother's father. And my mom was very attached to her, and she kind of went into a very sorrowful state. And to cut a long story short, the whole thing that kept her on, the interest in life, was this memory of Mother Sri Aurobindo in the ashram. And she felt that if there's a purpose in life, that's where I should connect, but there was no obvious connection. It so happened that my father's boss in the company where he worked was also a disciple of the Mother and Shri Aurobindo. And in 1965, this gentleman, Sri Pradot Kumar Bhattacharya, who's central to the whole theme, and he was a trustee of the Sri Aurobindo ashram, he was visiting my father's boss. And he asked my father for a meeting that evening, come over for some work-related chat. This gentleman was an engineer. And my father was also an engineer. So they met together, and he said, it's my wedding anniversary, can I bring my wife along? And that's how she went. And lo and behold, they started talking about the ashram. And my mother was gushing and said, oh, you know, all her memories and whatever. Suddenly, that depression, that state of sorrow was not there. And this gentleman who spoke very, very little asked her, so you fell in love with the mother, you liked the ashram, so what are you doing about it? So she said, so what can I do? Well, you can be of service to the mother. So she said, I'm a housewife, I'm in Calcutta, in what way can I serve the mother? So Mr. Bhattacharya told her that, you know, the mother loves all things beautiful. Can't you stitch, can't you do embroidery, can't you make a footstool cover for her? That's how it started, the whole journey in 1965. And progressively, my mother became more and more attached to this whole journey. And in 1970, tagging me along, we went to Pondicherry and I met the mother. And this was for her the second meeting. For me, the first meeting, I was 11 years old. And strangely, for completely different reasons, I found this lady enigmatic, mysterious, but somebody I related to, somebody I clung to, and on every following holiday, till she was alive, I made it a point, I insisted that we go to Pondicherry. Why? As a young boy of 11 or 12, I would have done that, frankly. It's very difficult to explain, but I said that, you know, my life seemed to revolve around that. So that's how it really started. In the meanwhile, in 1975, Arun Tagore, a person of the Tagore family, he was, the mother of Shri Aurobindo Ashram asked him to look after a particular house in Calcutta, which was gifted to her. And Arun Tagore took it up, and he ran that place from 68 till 75, when he died of cancer. Very brief spell, he died of cancer. And thereafter, you know, there was a void. And on his deathbed, he created an organization called Shri Aurobindo Institute of Culture to carry on the work that was happening. In 1972, while he was still alive, he prayed to the mother to basically, he wanted to start a nursery school. And the mother gave it the name Arun Nursery School. So in 1975, this school had barely a handful of children, handful of teachers, huge campus, 1.5-acre campus.
Well, that's quite a story, and that too based on faith. Actually, we do have something special for you. Have a look.
I have been studying in the school since KG actually, and the first thing that will strike you about the school when you enter it is the astounding amount of greenery around. I mean, in my years of schooling, I have been to many schools and no school has such an amount of greenery that I have seen before. Another thing I want to talk about this school are the opportunities that it provides to its students. There's Saturday school till class 8 and we can choose from a variety of different hobbies to excel at, and we also get all the necessary help we need from our teachers.
You know, when he's at home, I don't think he ever stops working. I mean, even when he isn't actually in his office or working, he's always thinking about work. And I think that is because he's involved in so many projects at the same time. And his mind is always running and he's always trying to iron out some creases. But I feel that kind of dedication to each and every project that he commits himself to is truly admirable, and I take inspiration from that every single day.
Regarding his growth, as long as I have been with him, or as far as I have seen him, you know, winning and losing never mattered to him. He has always been a very spiritual person who did all his jobs to the best of his ability, and I think he could do it because he's a very strict disciplinarian. He actually wakes up at 3:30 in the morning, and he is back after his morning walk at 5:30, and he prefers to have his dinner at 6 in the evening, and I think it is something like, I don't know how he manages it, because he has people like even me. I don't follow that schedule, and he also works with people who have regular work schedules and regular eating habits, but he somehow miraculously he manages it. And in spite of that, he he puts in his, like everybody who is working with him, I don't think they have any reason to complain, because he adjusts so admirably.
Wow. So that was interesting. Yeah, definitely. So like you said, you've not really technically set up the place. It came from your mother and I mean biological mother and the Aurobindo Ashram mother. But now you're in a leadership role, and that must have its own challenges, especially you are the company you said like Shaw Wallace and Philips and Polaroid, and now running a school driven by the values of the Aurobindo philosophy. So what are some of the challenges you faced?
Well, the only challenge, and that was a significant one, of course, was I knew nothing about education.
Yeah, that's
Zilch.
That's a little problem.
Yeah. I frequented the place, but like a visitor. So of course the teachers wondered, you know, I came in with my persuasion, but they wondered if this guy knows nothing, how will he function? And of course one redeeming feature was that before I actually quit my job, the only precaution that I took was we are affiliated to the Council for Indian School Certificate Examinations, CISC in New Delhi. I went and met their chief executive, Francis Phantom, in Delhi. And I told him, see, I know nothing about education. Do you think I can do this? I narrated to him a little bit the story, not in this length and detail. So he was very sporting, I would say, way back. And he said, well, if you're willing to do a B.Ed on the side, I'm game. So that was my reassurance that at least the board is backing me up.
So you did a B.Ed?
I did a B.Ed later.
So after working in all these multinational companies, doing your MBA from INSEAD engineering, then you did a B.Ed.
I had to do a B.Ed because that's a statutory requirement.
So you're one of the few engineer MBA B.Eds in this country, maybe the only one.
I don't know, no, I'm sure there are a few more, but yes.
We have something else on the screen for you. Let's take a look.
My name is Ronak Anand and I'm a pass out from the 2014 batch. They say that a person's psychology is determined by the environment in which they are in the early years of their life. The school not only gave us that homely environment infused with the right amount of discipline, but the unique thing about the school is the importance that it lays to spirituality with education. And this is something that every alumni carries with himself in every walk of life. And not only is the focus on academics, but they give this equal amount of encouragement for students to thrive, to get their competencies right in sports, culture, and various other co-scholastic activities. I think being a theatre actor myself, now that I look back, this is the place where I started my first ever performance, and well, there's been no looking back at all. So I think it's totally a testament to Sir's leadership, because of which his all-encompassing guidance towards the school, because of which all the students today can be so very self-confident about themselves now that they are out in the open world.
The school has several programs such as the happiness program, which helps us to meditate and calm ourselves. And then we have meditation sessions from time to time, which helps us to de-stress us from academics. We have ample time throughout the entire week to focus on our games and the physical aspect of ourselves. And therefore, I would say that Future Foundation School is not just focused on academics, but also the entire holistic development of a person.
Isn't that nice? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Actually, talking about your personal life a bit more, what is it like for you at home? You know, what do you do in your free time? Are you able to have a work-life balance?
Sir, I don't have free time.
Okay.
I'm the secretary of the Shri Aurobindo Institute of Culture, principal of this school. I'm a professor at IIM. I teach courses across platforms. We've started a senior living facility a year and a half ago.
So you never like sit around and watch 20 YouTube videos at one go, or be in Instagram for 2 hours?
No, sir, I'm not on Instagram.
You're not on Instagram?
I have just started Facebook. The only thing
Just
I did
started
a week
Facebook.
ago, just started Facebook, and I'm kind of connecting to our alumni.
Okay.
That was the only reason.
That's also work related.
That's also work related.
Okay.
I love what I do.
That's great. But before I let you go, let's capture this moment. We have a beautiful photo hanger, and let's just go there. It has truly been an honor to have Mr. Ranjan Mitter, the principal of the Future Foundation School, as a part of Educational Evangelist of India. Thank you, Mr. Ranjan Mitter, for joining us today. Join us the next time as we bring to the stage another celebrated educator of this country as we explore the latest developments in the world of education. Keep watching Education Evangelists of India, powered by Great Place to Study, streaming on ForbesIndia.com. I'm your host, Chetan Bhagat, signing off for now.